Oh shit. Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo, where tattoo artists, apprentices, collectors, and even the curious are all encouraged to join live streams like this, to catch the replays, to inspire each other, learn, and ultimately create better art together. Apologize, that's Iggy. Clearly somebody's delivering something, but he's a great, cute little dog when he's not interrupting our web stream. As I said, so right now you're watching this live. In the future, you might be listening to one of the replays on the podcasts or in the YouTube channel. Wherever you're beaming in from, then you want to head to reinventingthetattoo.com app. Either of the app stores, either the Google Play or the Apple App Store, do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo. Give it a download. You can also go straight to community.reinventingthetattoo.com. And the cornerstone of the event schedule is right, or the cornerstone of Reinventing is the event schedule. It's right there. It's the first button. I apologize. My dog is driving me nuts. Roscoe! Iggy, quiet! I'm not, okay, well, we'll fight on through the dog. I apologize about that. So give it a download, give it the positive reviews on the app stores. Send us your constructive criticism to management@reinventingthetattoo.com. And we appreciate all the feedback and the great ideas, and as well as the positive reviews. It has us going up in the, the rankings on those different things. And even though Reinventing's like 30 years old, these YouTube channels, the app, all of this is actually pretty fresh. We just started it up again in January. So I want to thank everybody for beaming in, for people that have been around for a long time and all the new people. This is the Reinventing Drawing Group with Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network. Check out his YouTube channel and his podcast. It's awesome. I think we're beaming out there now. If you are getting this, then please let us know in the chat rooms where you're beaming in from and how it's working for you. Definitely a good time to give it a share around. Oh, look, it is going live because it says right here. Let's see here. Sorry, I apologize. My dog threw me for a little bit of a loop. Okay, upcoming professional development, both live and on demand. We recently had Andre Malcolm do an awesome koi sleeve design seminar, and you can get the replay. So if you go to, or all of these replays are available, courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. And Andre is there. I'll be doing the Reinventing the Tattoo Business course. The next live session is this Wednesday at noon, and I have actually the schedule flushed out for the next 6 to 8 weeks. The Reinventing the Tattoo Business course immediately gets you access to like 6, 7 webinars. There's a little bit of overlap, but only on the important parts. Let's see, we've got BJ Betts has an amazing script replay. Bob Tyrell has an 11-hour black and gray portrait seminar. And if you can't watch it for 11 hours, you're never going to be able to tattoo like Bob does because, well, it takes him a long time. Let's see, we've got weekly events. The Reinventing Drawing Group every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jake Meeks is doing the Reinventing Drawing Group. Jason Leeser is doing the Reinventing Drawing Groups every Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And let's see, Tattoo Collecting Podcast is going out every Thursday at noon, where they Jordan Rookus and Fawn Baker interview different tattoo collectors to get into their mindsets, which is amazing. So if you're a tattooer, you get to understand more collectors' mindsets. And if you are just trying out tattoos and getting interested, then you can, hear straight from veteran tattoo collectors what they did right, what they did wrong, all that stuff. And it's a fair amount of talk about aliens, too. It's pretty fun. Okay. Let's see. I'd love to take. Let's see. We'll do real world events next. We're just coming out of the pandemic. It seems people in America are getting vaccinated quite a bit. It seems like Europe's about to open up, and we are making tentative plans for events. First thing is, let's see. October 3rd to the 6th is the Paradise BYOB, Bring Your Own Brains, brushes, beats if you're a musician, but if you're a grower, booze or beer if you like to drink, berries if you're a vegan. I don't know. We're going to have a bunch of people come out. We'll be teaching seminars, both in person and we'll webcast out. We'll be doing all of the Reinventing schedule programming like this, straight from Jiminy Peak. And we basically have the place rented out. We don't know how many people we're going to be able to get there. We definitely don't want to have like a massive, crazy tattoo convention. We'll ease ourselves into it. And again, we'll bring a lot of great like minds from different crafts together so that we can teach each other what we know of all the different things. It'll be fun. Anyways, that's October 3rd to the 6th. November 12th to the 14th is the Brussels Tattoo Convention. A massive reinventing contingent seems to be flying over, which is awesome. The reinventing event that we're doing there will have Nick Baxter, Ivana, and I doing seminars, as well as maybe some webcasting, some seminars. We'll be doing reinventing subscribers meetup, so people that are paid subscribers get to have an exclusive meetup where we'll probably beam in with people all around, as well as we'll do like an art jam for everybody, and well, it'll be a real good time. So that's November 12th to the 14th, and yeah, you should be getting your passports if you need them. And yeah, it seems like Europe is letting vaccinated people in, so yeah, there we go. Next year, 2022, get your pencils out, or your pens, I suppose. We have 2 or 3 events that are going to be awesome, confirmed, and these are going to be full-on shows. The Rock River Tattoo Art Expo, tattooartexpo.com, is happening July 8th to the 10th, and that's in Rockford, Illinois. It's outside of Chicago, about, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half from Chicago, I don't know, an hour-ish from the airport, a little less. So it's easily accessible from everybody. And Guy will be leading the Reinventing the Tattoo educational track. We'll have tattoo rooms with, I don't know, it's like 100, 120 tattooers and painters. The walls look out over the river. The venue is called Cliff Breakers. And you can go to tattooartexpo.com. And if you go there immediately, you might be like, yo, this is a little out of date because I'm just wicked busy doing all these webcasts and stuff. But I am also feverishly working on the new website, confirming with all the headliners to make sure that they can still return and figuring out all those details. But you should definitely pencil it in. July 8th to the 10th, 2022. That's next year, not this year, unless you're listening to this in 2022, in which case it is this year. Point is, it's 2022. Also, later that year, we'll have the, what's it called? Tony Urbanek's show. The Rubber City. The R's were throwing me off. The Rubber City Tattoo Invitational is, you can do a search for that. That's happening a little later in July. We'll be bringing out the reinventing events for that. And then the 3rd week in October is an official Paradise Tattoo Gathering. I believe it's October 20th to the 23rd. I really do need to write all these details down. Anyways, it's the 3rd week of October 2022. Paradise Tattoo Gathering returns to Jiminy Peak. Its original spot. It is going to be a Paradise Tattoo Gathering that everyone has been eagerly anticipating for quite a while now. And yeah, there we go. Okay, sponsors are rawpigments.co. They are getting their pigments for their inks straight from the source. Lauren is awesome and represents them. She's done a couple interviews. If you check out the Reinventing the Tattoo business call, she had like 20 or 30 different businesses from around the world on. There's a lot of talk about inks. We will be doing another ink panel coming up. Anyway, so that's rawpigments.co. Check them out. They're acrylic free and vegan. They're not vegan free. They are vegan and acrylic free. People are reporting they don't dry out in the cups. A lot of people are digging them. Also, inkjetstencils.com is awesome. It's, you do all of your tattoo preparation for your stencils on your iPad or Photoshop on your computer, and then you print it out. They have set up with Epson printers, continuous ink, eco-friendly ink tanks. You just pour the inks in there, and then, yeah, your stencils print out. I should have some kicking around to show you. If you want to try it out, but you're not sure about how it works or the thickness or whatever, you can send them your reference, a week or so ahead of time. They'll send you back a couple different printouts of it after they've treated it, so you can get an idea about like the thickness and all that stuff. But there's been a ton of great feedback from tattoo shops and tattoo artists that, yeah, they buy the shit and they dig it. They use it. It saves them wrist strain, saves them a little bit of time, a little bit of dough. And the other last thing I'll say about this, about the inkjet stencils, is check out Andre Malcolm's channels wherever you might find them. He definitely has some videos in the Reinvented community, but he's on Instagram and other places. He's printing out like back pieces and sleeves, all the stencils in one shot, and it's working pretty awesome for him. So you could ask him any questions if you need. Okay, so inkjet stencils, let's see. We got some other sponsors that are coming up, but a little bit too early to talk about them. We always want to thank tattooeducation.com, GuyAitchison.com. Guy is literally makes this happen. And then tattoonow.com is my computer geek outlet. My name is Gabe Ripley, GabeRipley.com. And now I'm going to hop in the background and hand it over to Jake Meeks. Because goodie bags. Oh shit, I forgot about the goodie bags. We now have awesome goodie bags to give away, and we will give away some to people who are commenting in the chat rooms. So again, let us know, what's going on. Not like stupid shit, but if you have constructive things to say, maybe inspirations for us to check out. We will be picking a person or two to give away goodie bags. Thank you to Cheyenne Tattoo Equipment and Raw Pigments. They've got needles and inks, so you need to be a tattooer. But yeah, and then somebody who zooms in also will be getting a goodie bag also. So now. I do have a printout. Now I'm getting out of the way here. Thanks again, Jake. You recently got tattooed by...
Ooh, I sure did. I feel it.
Let's see it. Let us know who tattooed you.
Andy Chambers. I spent all day. We did... Man, I think we did 10 hours on Friday. We started at 10 in the morning and finished around 9:30 at night. That includes some kind of like stopping to draw and stuff like that. But we laid out and shaded everything from my armpit to my ankle. Oof. Yeah. That dude just doesn't quit once he starts going. A poor guy, man. Every time, it was rough enough on me, but every time you
pictures it didn't happen.
All right, I'll try to get some photos that aren't so revealing if I can.
Everything from my arm.
I can hear someone's got to turn their volume down. I can hear us.
Somebody's playing us in the background here.
Yeah, which is nice of you, but don't do it here.
Sorry.
That's all
right.
Sorry, guys. Good. No problem. And then Jessica, if you could turn your phone sideways.
Yeah, I got to get set up here. Sorry.
There we go. Sweet. Perfect.
Oh, you're a pro, Jessica. What are you doing?
I didn't want to zoom in the beginning when Gabe was talking because I caught the beginning of one of the last group drawings, and it was just like me putting on my socks.
Awesome. Yeah, I've learned to stay to keep my camera off as I set everything up, and I have at least 3 drinks in here every morning, and it's like, how do every day is like the first day, like trying to figure out how to stack them where I don't spill them all on
I know. I do the same thing. I got my water and my tea, and I just feel like a dork over here, like drinking from 2 different cups. I'm just like, man, these guys must think I'm really thirsty.
Yeah, so I'm the same way. Gabe, I felt like I was thinking of you all last week. I had the worst head cold, and so I switched over to tea from coffee, started trying all these different teas, which I really enjoyed. And then about halfway through the week, I realized I was too congested to drink beer at night, so I started drinking hot toddies. Holy shit, are those good?
I've never had them my before. Tea.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands around here, the Big Bad Bullocks, Whiskey in My Tea. I'll have whiskey in my tea. You could keep your bloody biscuits, just put whiskey in my tea.
Nice. What's your favorite, not to get too far off topic, but what's your favorite tea to drink with hot toddies? Does it matter?
When I put alcohol, I've got the Harney and Sons. I don't know if you see this. This is the Earl Grey I've been getting off of eBay or Amazon. I did get 3 pounds. I tried to get a 3-pound bag, but it does not smell as good. I had to literally drink 2.5 pounds of shitty Earl Grey so I could rebuy my
tea. Somebody else needs a hot toddy. I can hear it.
Yeah. Rough morning.
Rough morning.
You are not allowed to die.
Working on that attitude adjustment for the day.
Right. So man, these last couple of weeks we've had like a decent group of people. Who hasn't been on before? I'm losing count of who's been here and who hasn't.
I haven't.
You haven't?
I haven't either.
No, I haven't.
That would have been my guess. I would have guessed those two had not. So what's up, guys? One of you guys want to introduce yourself and tell us what you're working on this morning? Tell us a little about your tattoo background.
Yeah, I tattooed a while ago. I actually stopped about 7 years ago to focus on painting and trying to get my art going and website and stuff. And I don't know, I stopped that. Now I'm trying to get back into the tattoo industry. So I'm pretty much just here for knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
And just to start meeting people and networking and stuff like that. Like I was telling Gabe earlier, my wife bought a couple still lifes off Guy a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
And he just shot me a little email and said, hey, tell Brandon to go on get the app and check out a couple of these drawing groups. You probably like them. So I'm here and I'm just working on something. Last night, I just sorry for this, for like just staring at my arm right here and nothing. I ordered one of these. I've been watching some of the guys' other videos. I ordered an arm so I could just put it right on my back. So the next time I'm here, I'll have that. You guys don't have to stare at me, you know.
Yeah,
but
sweet.
I actually just used a brush I've never used in Procreate before and just did something in like 30 seconds. It's just some weird tubey organic stuff. So I'm just going to see where it goes. I have no idea where it's going to go. I'm just here to hang out and have fun and see what's up, you know?
Awesome. Yeah. Do you happen to have the pieces that you bought from Guy nearby? I don't know.
Yeah, I got one right here. I got the little gargoyle he did.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. You said still ice. I thought it was going to be like fruit and vases and stuff. Yeah,
he did. I got the little gargoyle, and then I got a flower that he did. That's upstairs right now. But
sorry, Brandon. Could you show that off again? I didn't have you highlighted when you showed off. Yeah, cool. Get slow and get into it.
Yeah, man. Nice.
And then I have this right here. This is just something. That's a print from Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sweet.
But these are my first originals. So, you know, I got the little, my wife, we have that up in our bedroom, the flower. But yeah, it's cool. You know, I just put it down here in my art room when it inspires me, you know?
I think that's always a fun topic. Whenever you move over and you start buying, you go from prints to buying like original paintings and stuff like that. Yeah. I used to try to like put them where everyone would see them, which makes sense when you first start, like put them like in the entry or in the living room above the couch or whatever I could do. But man, something that I think is like so enjoyable is if you take some of your favorite pieces and put them in like spots where you wouldn't think they would be. Like I have some of my favorite pieces are like in our master bathroom or in, you know, or in my bedroom. And it's just nice to walk into your bathroom and see like a really awesome painting that normally, you know, that nobody else really gets to see.
Well, I just see like my room down here. I just set this up. I just moved to this house. There's nothing on the walls.
Yeah, just that one painting.
It's just those two. So I'm just, as I collect, I'm just gonna start putting more stuff up. You know.
Yeah. Sweet. I'm gonna switch my camera so everybody can see what I'm actually drawing today. Well, man, cool. That's congrats. So you're gonna work on that for a little while. What about let's move over. Who else said they hadn't been here before? It was Casey. Casey, what's going on, man? Tell us a little bit about you too, and what you're working on today, if anything.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I wasn't sure. I was muted there for a second.
Yeah. It's always good to mute yourself if you're not talking. That way people don't listen to you walk around and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to find a cord so I could plug my phone in. I'm actually charging my phone off of my drone controller right now.
I thought that was a drone controller. I was like, man. What the fuck? The guy's going to start droning right in the middle of the call? That's amazing.
Well, my charger I left in the shop last night. Like, I ended up not getting out of here till like 1 o'clock. So I literally slept in my car outside the shop.
Oh, yeah. You're doing that type of tattooing. Crazy.
7 days a week, baby.
Ooh. Well, better do than me, I always say.
Yeah, and that's not quite sleeping with the needles, right? They used to call when you sleep in the tattoo shop, sleeping with the needles.
Sleeping with the needles.
Go from tattooing them in the bed to sleeping in it.
Well, what did you work on so late last night?
Last night, guy came in and wanted his hand blasted. Wanted the skull on the hand, where he sticks it up on his face, and now he's got the hand.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know
it's been done a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Got to do that, and then kept getting little banger walk-ins.
Sweet. What? We lost you, or maybe we just lost your video. Did we lose his audio and video?
Yeah, probably somebody's calling in or something.
Okay, gotcha.
So we have a question in the chat room here from Raphael. What are you guys giving away in the goodie bags? Sample inks from Raw Pigments and Cheyenne cartridges. It's pretty awesome.
Sweet. Man, I got some of those raw ink samples a while back, and I've been using the hell out of them. I really like them. The only thing is a lot of the colors that I'm using. She sent me. Lauren sent me a ton of them, like 70 bottles, and some of them were bigger bottles, but my favorite ones, she sent the 1 ounce bottles. And since I'm mostly doing like large scale tattoos, I'm afraid I'm going to run out of them. So I'm afraid to use them in any, any big tattoos and be like, oh shit, I don't have any more of that. So, but I do.
Me too, man.
The same thing for you? Yeah,
absolutely. I'm terrified
so
of running out of them, so I'm like using them sparingly.
Yeah, I guess I need to just, there are a few that I really like. There's a really deep blue gray. I forget what it's called, but I really like it. And I basically threw it. So I probably should go ahead and just like buy a handful of the ones that I know I like for sure. But yeah, those, I really like them. A few of them just like, it's not just raw. I do this with a lot of them, but a few of them I've had to use the mixer or whatever, like water them down a little bit with the, whatever you call that, like tube of, I'm talking about, what do you call the stuff that you use to water your inks down with? Like the keep it wet kind of stuff. I've been using that more and more lately. Vodka, that's it. I couldn't think of it. Man, there's Jason, do you remember an episode? I know you've seen a bunch of our episodes. An episode that we did. I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name, but it was at the Evergreen Convention, and he was talking about making this cutter with vodka and something, and he gave me a bottle of it like on the show. I still have it. I've never used it. I thought it was like the strangest.
Wasn't it vodka and Listerine?
Maybe it was something weird like that. And he had it, like he kept it with him. He's like, here, take this one and try it out. I was like, oh, just being polite. I took it, but and I have it for some reason. Why I didn't just throw it away is beyond me. But I don't remember that guy's name, but it's crazy some of the stuff that people come up with.
Yeah. Well, I know the gold Listerine trick was used for quite a few years, and I forget who it was. I think it was maybe Ed Hardy or Lyle Tuttle. One of those guys used to swear by using it.
What do they use it as like a cutter?
Down, but
to cut the gray wash down?
Yeah. They would dilute that with distilled water and then at like a 50-50 ratio, and then they would use that for their drop system to disperse the ink a little bit more. But I mean, I have my reservations about doing that. I mean,
yeah, man,
you're not even supposed to swallow that stuff, and you're putting it in skin.
Right.
So,
yeah. I'm glad tattooing has finally reached a threshold, whether it's just as a size of an industry or revenues, where we got smart people interested in producing products for us, so we don't have to like repurpose Listerine. It's a lot better absolutely. Now. Yeah. What are you and Dusty Ricardo in the background? Are you guys working on something together today? What's up, man?
What's going on, bud?
What are you guys working on?
We're just getting started sketching now. I mean, we went into this without any kind of a real idea.
Went into what? Is it for something or just because?
No, right now it's just a couple of little scribbles on a piece of paper.
Oh.
So, I mean, usually whenever we hang out, we like to get together and do some free drawing. The last time when Ricardo came to visit me, we started working on this, just like a little water dragon painting.
Yeah, sweet.
So we're hoping to get back into that, for the few days I'm here.
Yeah. So you're up visiting
and getting our mock-up done with some Copic sketch markers, and then started to go back through and add some acrylic into it.
Nice, man.
I love that you kept that. Yeah, I was going to say, I love that you kept it horizontal instead of turning it vertical like most of the canvases would be.
Yeah.
At that size. That's.
Well, we were really trying to show a lot of flow and dimension, a lot of movement diagonally. So we wanted it. I mean, we're both right-handed, so naturally we're going to try to start from one corner, right? Whatever corner is most natural to us. And as we worked our way over, we developed this really nice flow and counterflow balance. The cool thing about
Are you guys going to keep it black and gray, or is it going to put color in it?
Who knows?
Yeah.
One of us starts throwing color in it, it's going to be colored. So.
Yeah, I like that.
We have some muted teals in here, so that should be nice.
Yeah.
Even if we kept it completely monochromatic, I think it would still be nice.
Right.
Nice balance of textures too. A lot of you got a lot of little textures going on, and then some more simple open spaces. That's gonna be really nice, man. You guys should definitely finish that thing out. Super cool. Well, sweet.
Yeah,
so what are you doing? Why are
you, Jake? Do some collaborative painting with you.
Yeah, man, I'd love to. I'm trying to to simplify my painting style a little bit to be more like tattoos. You know how I tend to just pile paint up until it scooter around until it looks like something. And I've been tattooing like that for years too. But as I move into bigger stuff, And as I get tattooed, like getting tattooed by Andy has changed the way that I'm thinking about a lot of things too. And you know, the people we talk about like Steve Moore, Teresa Sharp, and I realized that I don't use like line and edge very well. I pile stuff up and all my edges are kind of soft edges that fall into something else. And, you know, and I don't draw very much. I tend to just like pile up values and colors until they start to like work for me. And in tattooing, it's not very efficient. I've never been a very efficient tattooer, like getting through a tattoo in a reasonable amount of time. And I feel like a lot of times I'm going around the block to get across the street. And so I'm going to try with my painting. And I might even try to switch over and do more like fluid acrylics, liquid acrylics like you guys do. Because like the paintings that I've seen you guys start big stuff, I could never even approach anything like that because it would take me a year to do. You know, I have to work on small paintings because of the amount of paint that I use and how inefficient I am, you know? So I'm gonna focus on that. One of my, I have my strategic coach. I think I've talked to you guys a little bit about strategic coach before, but it's this like entrepreneurial coaching group that I do quarterly. And we identify like strategic projects each quarter we're going to work on. And I've wanted to do this for years. I wanted to do like Teresa Sharp does, where I just design like 10 large scale pieces and sell them for the year. And just do those and not instead of collaborating with people on tattoos. So I made the commitment to identify and block out, like identify a myth or a legend that I want to use as a theme and block out one. So I've identified the myth that I want to use, and I'm starting on the block out this week. And my goal with it isn't just to block it out. It's going to be to try to intentionally like lay it out more efficiently than I normally do, and simplify my style a little bit, where I'm drawing more and not just like laying texture on top of texture on top of texture. So we'll see how that goes. Well, who else do we have? Is there anyone else that we haven't talked, or not that we haven't talked to, but who is new? Is anyone else jumping in?
My phone died.
Oh yeah.
One thing I do want to let people know is for the sample bags. So to enter for the sample bags that have the Cheyenne cartridges and the raw pigments and some other things, if you go to reinventingthetattoo.com/goodie bag entry, then that's the form to fill out. Goodie bag entry. We'll make it a little bit easier next time, I suppose. But
are you?
I wasn't sure how I was supposed to do it.
Come in.
I wasn't sure how you were supposed to do it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, you know, last time we just had people comment and we picked somebody, but now there's actually an entry form so people could fill it out.
Okay.
And then soon I'll make a lower third that we could put up on the screen so people could see it and hear about it. And then our sponsors will be very happy and keep supporting us so we can keep doing this.
Man,
you told me to send my address to somebody, and I wasn't sure who you were. Like I tried sending it to management, but they never added me to be able to message them.
Oh, let's see here. I think that, oh yeah, you were from last week. I got it. You should have it on the way. I could double check to make sure.
I'd send it to you, man. Like I didn't really know. I was like, here's my address. I showed up at my house one day, you know. All right, let's get a beer.
Yeah, it should show up at your house.
I have a bunch of leftover Fireside shirts, so logo shirts. I should send you some to put in goodie bags.
Awesome. Yeah, send them to Lauren. We'll get you in touch with Lauren. And actually, I think Ricardo's sending over shirts too. They're going to be, I almost titled the link Reinventing's Famous Goodie Bags. Because pretty soon they're going to be famous. But then it's also
how long has Fireside been around? I feel like I've been seeing those videos.
Yeah, Fireside's been around. We launched in 2013, so 8 years
that
this
makes
summer.
Sense then,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's been around. It's been around for a while. Sometimes super active, sometimes not so active. We've taken the last couple of weeks off. We actually haven't really put anything out. One thing that we're going to start doing, Scott, my buddy, and that's been helping me with this forever, is going to start editing down these and kind of re-dropping them without whatever kind of, you know, if we have any lulls or anything like that, trying to like edit them down to just really interesting, like little nuggets that people throw out.
You guys put out great content, man.
Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks. And then this show has turned out, you know, the thing about this drawing group, and I'm sure Jason's too, is that you don't really know where it's going to go, and people will have what this thing seems like it's turned into is people sharing artists that no one else knows, or and then Gabe's good about pulling them up and showing them off. So it's a great way to learn about new artists. And then Jason knows every art book ever made, so that's helpful that we get to like see all these cool art books. And it seems like people are always jumping in with new, with new like stuff, tips, tricks, artists. So that's been fun.
I like
there was a couple books on your guys' last feed I hadn't seen before.
Yeah. It's funny we mentioned what was the Jessica, you may remember Jason, I'm sure you remember because you showed one. And what was the publisher last week that we were talking about? Kintaro.
Yeah.
They started showing up in my feed everywhere after we talked about them last week. They're like,
Big Brother is listening.
They're listening.
Yeah.
And to that point, if any tattoo shops want to start harnessing that kind of power, I am working with a couple different technologies that actually help do that for tattooers. It's a little creepy doing it, but on the other hand, we know it happens and everyone else is doing it. We don't have audio access to your phones, but it is there are ways just model people's behavior, and frankly, it's when we're using it's better because it means that we don't actually have to spam anybody with like buy our shit. It's basically you just give everybody the inspiration and the history stuff, and then when they start showing interest in purchasing, that's when you could like send that email. It's like, hey, if you happen to be interested in being a subscriber, then this is the stuff, or these are the links. And but it's crazy. Like you can then like retarget and like advertise straight to like your Facebook advertising can go specifically to people who have landed on a specific web page that you have, for instance. It's pretty sick.
When that stuff, when the pixeling and stuff first started, and there was a big backlash against it, I thought it was pretty cool because I was like, well, at least it's stuff I'm already interested in. Like if I'm considering buying a new pair of Jordans or whatever, and Jordans start popping up on my page, like, oh, that's cool. I was looking at Jordans anyways. I would rather see that than Geico commercials or whatever. But now it's gotten to the point.
Geico commercial.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean to bash Geico. Obviously, I love Geico too. But the way that it started to go, where it's like where they're obviously just listening in. I didn't search for Kintaro. Not that I mind that ad. That's pretty cool actually. But but as an example, like a lot of times you're just talking about something and then it starts popping up. That's where it's getting sketchy. But if it's something that you've actively been searching and it starts popping up,
at least something you typed in.
Yeah, at least it's something I'm interested in. So that part doesn't really bother me that much.
Yeah. And the way that it works for us is we could figure out if somebody's interested in like coil tattoo machines or rotary tattoo machines. If somebody's still sampling, for instance, these sample bags, we know people are interested in trying out different things, whereas somebody might not be. They might be settled in what they're using. So there's no reason for us to like be blasting ink samples at somebody if they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of tattoo machines, is there any chance any of you guys are using the Soul Nova Unlimited?
I'm not using it. I saw Andy, the guy that tattooed me, had one the other day, but he wasn't using it.
I'm trying to find somebody that I can ask some questions about that responsive mode on it, because there's really not a lot of information out about it.
If you send me an email directly, Gabe at tattoonow.com, I could forward it on to Chris or somebody. Potentially.
I know Matt Jackson's using one.
I mean, it's an awesome machine. It's just I'm not really understanding exactly what's supposed to be taking place when that mode is activated.
I would imagine it's probably some type of just my guess is it's like it uses a chip or something, a sensor, and it notices if the motor is under strain or if the motor is slowing down, and it can add more power to make that up. So it's like the opposite of a digital give or a bog. It's actually like more of a boost just by that terminology. There's only a handful of things that folks are doing with this. Yeah, they'll basically microchip it and they're gauging the speed with which the motor is spinning, and then obviously when the motor is met with resistance, it's going to slow down like any rotary motor would. And what it can do is it can add power to get it back to that speed. I don't know that that's what that mode does, but that's what that kind of thing does in other similar style machines.
Have you guys checked out the Aaron Williams, I think is the guy's name, Tatcom, I think? It's a power supply that it adjusts the power to make sure that the needles are always at the same rate.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, same idea. Right. Yeah. Ink Machines calls it boost mode, I know, and it's basically that's essentially what it is. And then it's funny that I don't know if you watched or listened to any of the episodes, that the series that I did with Carson Hill of Pneuma Machines, but he kind of goes through all of the variables of how people are using those things and and marketing them. But it's only a handful of things that are happening, and they're just branding it different ways. Like you might call, if you don't have the boost mode on it, they may call it digital give, because it's like the machine is giving like it naturally would when it's met with resistance. And if you do have the boost mode, you might call it boost mode.
That's not what Aaron's got, I don't believe. Aaron's
really?
The goal of Aaron's power supply is to make sure that the needles are constant. Instead of like, it basically adjusts the voltage accordingly, so that the needle is always going at the same rate, regardless of the resistance, really. But it's not like forcing it through, I don't believe. Well, it's worth checking out.
So it's done through his power supply, and it works with any machine.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, I was thinking it was a machine. I wasn't.
And so it adjusts the voltage on the fly, so that the needle's doing the same pokes per minute. I don't know the official terms or whatever.
What's what's his power supply called? Who is it?
It's like Tatcom. It's Aaron Williams.
Okay, I'll check that out. I finally bought the. Everyone's been telling me about the Musotoku forever. Ty Pilata's been using it, and so has who was I was talking about? Carson Hill. And I finally broke down and bought it last week. And I've been trying it instead. I got away from the batteries. I've been using those critical batteries for a while. They've gotten to where they don't last very long for me. Those critical battery packs, when I'm using the Pneuma. The Pneuma is a bigger motor. It's an oversized motor for what he really needed there. But I used to get a full 6 or 7 hours out of those critical batteries. And now I'm getting maybe 4.5. So I switched over, and I've got a 3 Minutes to Better Tattooing coming out hopefully this week. I need to finish editing it today, but it's a really cool little discovery I made that I think has to do with amperage, not voltage. You know how some of these power supplies, like you can turn them up to whatever voltage you want, but they'll deliver like 4 starting amps, but only 1 continuous amp, which is probably plenty for most rotary tattoo machines. I can't imagine they're pulling a lot of amps. But the Musotoku has 10 starting amps and 5 continuous amps. So it can provide however much amperage that machine needs to pull when it's met with resistance. And I found just unintentionally, I don't want to give away the whole episode, but unintentionally, I found a result change whenever I switched over. I was using that slow running kind of whip stippling, where you'll run it at super low voltage and then kind of stipple. I noticed a really marked difference whenever I switched and tried to use that when I switched from the critical Atom to the Musotoku. So I'm going to put that out this week. It's really cool.
So you think the amps gave it more punch, or?
Yeah, absolutely. They did. Yeah, and I have visual proof of it, and I didn't think I would ever be able to show visual proof, but I've got very clear visual proof of it.
It makes sense if you really think about it, with every other type of motor and everything else. Like it would make sense.
Yeah. I would have just thought with these small rotary motors that they would never pull an amp anyway. So I thought, well, 1 amp to 4 amps, what's it matter? But you would rather have however much it needs to pull. And Carson did mention when he first put that machine out that the motor is bigger and more than you would actually need. He kind of overdid it. And so, anyways, I hope to get that episode out this Wednesday. Now, I guess I will.
See, I thought that my machine was working off some sort of spring.
Yeah. Say what, Jason?
So I've been using the Musotoku for a couple of years now. Anyone out there that uses coils, you will notice a significant difference in the way your machine runs. It will run more true. It will run more consistently, and it will run. It won't run faster, obviously, but it will run far more consistently than you've ever had it run before with any other power supply.
I noticed I've dropped my voltage to get the same amount of power.
Exactly.
I'm running at less voltage. Not using a coil, but using the Dan Cuban Sidewinder, which is the closest thing to a coil as you can get with a rotary. I noticed that I went from running it at like 6.5 volts, 7 volts down to like 5.3 or something like that. I guess that's just the amperage that it's delivering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amps matter.
Amps matter. Yeah, they do. More than voltage. I mean, you could run the thing at 18 volts if you wanted, and if it can only deliver 1 amp, then what are you really getting out of it,
Well, amp has to do with the load that you put on any kind of a machine, right?
Yeah.
So the harder that motor or those coils have to work to get the same amount of pull, that's going to draw more current. You can control the voltage all you want, but what you get with like one of the smaller, like $60 power supplies that you can get, super cheap, is that they'll draw more amperage to compensate. They'll keep the voltage the same, but they'll have to draw more current in order to keep that going, because it's working far harder to get the same effect.
And a byproduct of that would be heat if it's drawing excessive amps. So that would shorten the life of your machine and cause it just to heat up in your hand. Yeah.
But if you're already running with a consistent number of high amps, it doesn't matter what kind of a load you put on that. It's already got so much force coming down, and it's already got such consistency. It's not going to change it all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, who haven't we talked to? Jessica, you haven't said anything yet today. What are you drawing on?
I am working on a sleeve. I haven't got today, so I got my days back to Sunday, Monday. My days off to Sunday, Monday, finally. So I drove to Eugene yesterday, which is about 3 hours away from where I'm at right now. So I spent most of my day just driving yesterday, and I didn't really look at my schedule or anything to see what I had to do. So I'm just thumbnailing right now. So the client wants,
like you
guys know those, I'm sure you've seen them. It's that like almost like fine line black and gray floral pieces.
Yeah.
It's super popular with the ladies.
Yeah.
So
Pinterest tattoos.
I think I did 5 of them.
Yeah, except like almost like a full sleeve. And I started it's so funny because I didn't really know how to do that style for the longest time, and I got asked for it so much I kind of had to start to learn how to do it. Right. So I'm finally getting to the point to where I feel like it actually looks like what I want it to look like. But
yeah. What did you find? What did you find that you were missing originally, or what were the tricks of it? Do you know? Can you simplify it at all?
Yeah, I think overall just learning how to do black and gray better helped. When I first started, I've been an artist almost my whole life, and I always drew with like Prismacolor color pencils, those soft core color pencils, and they were really great. But I didn't do I did do like some black and gray sketching and stuff, but that was like, I did that more in high school. Yeah. So when I first started tattooing, I was mainly, not intentionally, but it was just what I did. I was mainly just a color artist. And I was trying to be responsible. So when people would come in and ask for like these really big black and gray pieces and stuff, I would always turn them down. Because the first shop that I started working at, there was a guy there that was quite a bit more experienced than I was. So I would always give them to him. And then after a little while, I did start getting more comfortable doing them. But that wasn't really what I was known for. So I didn't get asked for it a whole lot. Then after that shop, I moved into a shop where there was a guy that specialized in black and gray. So I got even less requests for black and gray work.
Right.
So I actually, I forget exactly when it kind of clicked for me, but I watched that Franco Vescovi DVD on YouTube. And I'd watched it before, like earlier, and when I first started tattooing, and it didn't really make sense, So I like to watch, it made sense, but it makes more sense to me now that stuff's in context. When you first start tattooing, you can watch people tattoo all day, but it doesn't really click until you really know like what's going on and like why they're hanging out their needles so much, or while they're making certain hand movements and things like that. So I always like to rewatch like technique videos a few times. So Franco Vescovi has a DVD on YouTube that you can watch, and it was a huge help. I don't know if you guys ever read that book. I think it's called The Talent Code, something like that.
No, Talent Code.
Yeah, so it basically talks about the myelin in your brain that wraps around neurons and stuff like that, and that's how you build skill, essentially. And one huge part of that is just watching people do what they do. Like people, one in particular, they were talking about this young lady who played tennis, and she was like a tennis pro, and she used to watch this guy play tennis all the time when she was younger. And they noticed, like, as she was playing she had the same backhand motion when she hit the ball as that guy did, just because she watched him so much growing up. So that's actually how you build myelin in your brain. So since I had learned that, I just made a point of watching people tattoo as much as I could. So once I learned, and it's different for everybody, you know, you use different hand motions and things like that, and different stretching, and you hang your needle out a different way. But yeah, once I learned how to do black and gray a little bit better, once I watched that Franco Vescovi DVD a couple of times, that really helped, because essentially it's like fine line black and gray, you know?
Yeah.
So that really helped out a lot.
But one thing on that, for that kind of like that style you're talking about, the really light fine line kind of stuff, is really being comfortable leaving a lot more skin than you think you should, you know, on the interior parts of it. I tend to like overly render, especially in black and gray. I use like a full range of grays, and I try to like only use the skin tone and the strongest highlights and stuff like that. I feel like, I think growing up in tattooing, really. But I think growing up in tattooing, I've started to recognize that the most amateur looking work left way too much skin, and they basically used like either medium grays, didn't use a full value range and left too much skin, or they used way too much black and way too much skin, and everything was too contrasty and you couldn't tell what to look at. And so then I started like paying attention to the people who were really doing, you know, the best black and gray work that I'd seen. People like, you know, Tim Bedron, or nowadays a great example of it is Gabe Londis, who really hasn't been tattooing all that long, but he's really figured out, he treats his gray washes like, he treats it like color, like he's packing light grays in like color. And so whenever he does use skin, it's used so strategically that it like, you know, that it like really stands out as a highlight. And so for full rendered black and gray, I love that stuff, but you kind of have to forget that again to do that style that you're talking about, and just leave a ton of open space. Yeah,
and I think that's why a lot of ladies request getting it done, because there is so much open skin, right? You know, so but yeah, Gabe Londis he's super cool. Actually, I did it was years ago. I painted with him at Off the Map. He like advertised like this free painting workshop that he was going to do, and Grants Pass is only maybe like a few hours from where I'm at. So I jetted down there, and it was super cool. I got to paint with Laura Jade and John Hyland and Gabe Londis. Yeah, I was shitting my pants on the inside, but it was awesome.
Awesome. I love that shop's awesome. Jeff, they are looking for a tattooer. You know, so if you go to 26swords.com is what it is now. I know. And
that
would
be
for
awesome.
Everybody, but it'll be awesome for the right person.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shop, but that town is not a lot happening. It is. It looks like a kind of a Mayberry when you first go there, but then the longer you spend there, you're like, this isn't Mayberry at all.
Well, yeah, a lot of towns in Oregon are like that.
Yeah, Jake, it's very much an East Coast versus West Coast culture.
Right.
And,
I live in Mayberry.
Yeah, that is a beautiful shop, and anyone would be lucky to work there. You'd learn a ton.
It's definitely a place where you want to, you know, create your space. You know, you get there and, you know, work it. But on the other hand, with Jeff and Laura and the others there as, you know, examples of how to make it an awesome success and be happy. It's a fucking, you know, obviously they're a tremendous amount of talent there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, who haven't we talked to yet? There's still some folks up here. We haven't talked to. Ash. Akshay.
Hello, sir.
Hey, man, how are you?
Sir.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Good, sir. All good. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. How was your week? Did you do any fun tattoos last week?
No, sir, no tattooing
Oh,
right
that's right. You're
now.
still not
But
tattooing. Sorry, I knew that.
but sir,
Well,
in last night we did like drawing session with Ricardo sir, on charcoal. It was really great. I did this.
oh, beautiful. Nice, nice. Yeah, that looks fantastic.
That's cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
way to go, like simplifying those shapes, man. That's fantastic. I'm working right now on new exercises for our relaunch of our foundations course, and I've been trying to find ways to simplify ideas enough for that to for what you did right there to be clear to people. Like there are just a handful of values. The light and shadow is really clear, and you didn't like try to make it fancy and overwork it. And I've been trying to come up with exercises that are simple, that like allow people to have kind of small victories. The mistake I made with our first foundations course is I made it way too hard from the start for people that are just learning to draw, like by making them draw from life right off the bat, which is enough to make anyone want to quit, no matter your experience level. And I'm trying to find ways to set people up for small victories, short exercises that you can solve the problem quickly. And so I've been kind of playing around with different exercises. And in fact, this would be a perfect place for me to do that. We don't have enough time today, but I think for next week, what I may do is break a few of those exercises out and get some feedback if you guys are cool with it, just to see if anyone has any ideas for ways I can improve them or simplify them even more, or maybe you have ideas for all new exercises that I haven't thought of. I'm sure you do, but yeah, that's great, man. That's a beautiful piece.
Sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
What are you working on today?
Sir, I have to do a tattoo like after a few days, and that is like from shoulder to elbow, and it is like Athena. But I'm thinking to do it not in realism. Like I wanted to do this in like more illustrative style, but I haven't done mostly my pieces in illustrative style. I usually do realism kind of stuff. So today, this tattoo, I'm gonna try something illustrative on it. So I'm just doing something rough right now. Like I wanted to do a face and then a body and then a shield over here. So something like that, sir.
Yeah, fantastic. And this is for an actual tattoo next week?
Yes, sir. For an actual tattoo. But sir, I wanted to ask you something. Like how more I can like flow this tattoo according to a body, like move a body a little, like give the design a flow or like add some flow in it.
I'll tell you, there are tons of ways, but I'll tell you what I typically do, how I start. There are areas on, say, like a half sleeve that I typically don't want to tattoo. Like I don't want any detail in them. And I usually will start with those areas and try to find ways to introduce negatives that help me use the flow. I use negatives in almost every kind of tattoo. So like right in the ditch, the bend of the arm. Let me switch my camera. So let's see here. Let's see. So right in the bend of the arm, and then on the front and the back of the spongy areas on the front and the back of the armpit.
Jake,
what's up?
I need to spotlight you. Sorry.
Okay, that's right. Okay, so I'll think about things on a half sleeve, for example, the bend of the arm here, the elbow, and then this area and this area. I'll typically use those as areas where I don't want anything important, and a lot of times I will. So I start by thinking about the major shapes of the body. So like the deltoid, the bicep, the tricep, and I think about the directions that that those shapes kind of already lead me in, and then I'll try to use those areas I just showed you as ends for the skin to kind of move through. And I take those things along with the major shapes of the drawing. So like the shape of that head, the shape of a shield, maybe the way the neck moves into a torso, or like what angle that torso is at and what those shapes are. And I try to just, using those elements, just simplify all of those things as much as I can and just lay the shapes out. So like I probably wouldn't have started drawing all of the stuff for the helmet yet. I would just have a big oval right there. And I would think about, okay, does that oval sit on the deltoid or does it sit on the bicep? Is the shield below or is the shield above? you know, and I'm just trying to like
Crazy,
solve
crazy.
those problems first. And that's where thumbnailing is so helpful. You know, I'll do that with like 4 or 5 thumbnails, 2 or 3 minutes each, just kind of going through those thumbnails. And then once I've settled on the relationship of those shapes, a lot of times the flow just kind of comes from the relationship of those shapes, you know, like,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you know, like, so what's my hierarchy? Do I want, you know, do I want the, you know, the shield to be in the foreground and the head to be further back? Do I want the head to be a focal point and the shield to be more aside to you, so you're not seeing the entire thing? So like, what do I want people to see? You know, like if people
Yes,
are
sir.
glancing at the tattoo, do I want them to notice the head before the shield or the shield before the head? Just asking yourself those questions, I think, really helps you to determine like the hierarchy of those shapes. And then it's like, okay, well, the shield's going to be my focal point. So I want the shield to be in the foreground and I want it to like clip some part of the head. You know what I mean? So like, so you,
Yes,
and then the shield is obviously going to be the first thing we see. You know what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But sir, actually, how to connect that piece from like this area, elbow area? Like if we add, I was thinking to add a shield over here, like this side. So is it a good idea to add a shield over here? Because I don't think so. Like I would be able to complete the like around this area, the shield around this area.
Well, also, you know, there's no rule that says you have to see the entire shield. Like, how much of the shield do you need to see to make sure that it looks like a shield? You know, can you just get away with half of it? You know, a lot of times you don't need, a lot of times, and I make this mistake too, where I feel like I need to see every edge of every shape. And a lot of times it's more interesting if you don't, you know, if like, if it falls out. Yeah, you may not need to see the entire shield. Like how little information can you get away with showing that still tells the story, you know? Like if you think
make sure
about,
it's dented up a little bit and fucked up, because there's nothing worse than seeing like armor out there that's like pristine.
it's too shiny.
Perfect.
I'm just like, come on, this is a fucking rich man's fucking armor.
Got that
That's a good point.
Mandalorian armor.
Right. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes,
this is
Yeah.
great.
If it's Beskar, then maybe it doesn't dent.
Beskar, man. I was trying to think of the name of it.
Yeah.
So real quick, before Jake has to boogie to actually exercise, I think we might have not caught up with Edward yet.
No,
Is that the
I don't
truth?
think, I knew we didn't miss. I knew we missed someone. Edward.
You got to unmute yourself and let us.
There we go.
Well,
Yeah, how you doing?
What's going on, Edward? How was your week?
Outside Wi-Fi.
It was pretty good. Did a lot of fishing. It was nice out, so
Sweet. Yeah.
yeah.
fishing. Were you drawing nature too, or just going full on recreation?
When I was out there, I ended up doing this on my wrist, but
Oh. Yeah. Sweet.
I needed to clean up the letters, but
That's a tough area to get tattooed, especially to tattoo yourself.
yeah, I did the USA hockey symbol. I'm gonna do that on my thigh. That way I'll be able to stretch the skin better. And I just have done so much on that real skin that I wanted to do it on myself before someone else.
You know, being someone, I'm sure Jake also has this experience. I can't tell you how many fucking tattooers start tattooing themselves, and then 3 to 4 years later they start covering that shit up because they got good at tattooing, and then 10 years later they did the real cover up because they actually got good, and then half of them either give up or black out or just end up not even bothering anymore. But
that's true, man.
As far as like learning and whatnot, I would always recommend saving your skin for someone who's fucking sick. And if you had your forearm tattooed by a badass tattooer, and you were watching, you're going to learn so much more than trying to do it yourself. And again, I don't tattoo. I don't. Everyone's karma is their own to pay off. I'm just saying
that's absolutely true. That's a point that I wasn't thinking about, but it's a great point. Like you just saving a few dollars and getting getting some time with the tattooer that you admire, that you like their work, and getting a tattoo in a visible spot by them, watching what they're doing, asking questions, making a new friend. It's like obviously getting trying to get in and get an apprenticeship is the most valuable thing you can do. But that's like the way to open that door, is like paying for someone's time, and getting work by them. It's amazing how much you learn by getting tattooed by someone.
By good people. And you're in the Boston area? Is that what I remember?
Yes.
Yeah, there's some fucking great tattooers there in Boston. So it's and ultimately across the board, when I'm listening to stories, spending the next 2 or 3 years getting tattooed and getting the advice from the people that are tattooing you is a way to, it just. And again, I don't give a shit how long it takes you to tattoo or how many cover-ups you have to do. Like, it doesn't really make that much of a difference to me. But what I could say is the people that can learn that lesson of patience before always are rewarded with, better results and an easier, path later. Yeah, on the other hand, like I said, it's everyone does their own thing, and there's plenty of tattooers that had to practice on themselves because there was nobody there. On the other hand, being in the Boston area, there's so much talent. They were talking about Gabe Landis earlier. There's dozens of sick ass tattooers there that you would probably get farther in your quest if you were getting tattooed by them and hanging out, and taking their advice. When I was saying, were you drawing or doing anything out in nature, I was thinking like, plein air, doing some like wildlife sketches and shit like that.
No, I just fish when I'm out there, but I ended up doing that while I was out there,
My story is along those same lines. I did have an apprenticeship, but a very subpar apprenticeship at a street shop that really no one could draw, and not very many of them could even tattoo. But I started getting tattooed by a guy named David Evans, who actually ended up being my co-host on our podcast for the first 100 episodes. But I started getting tattooed at his shop, Underground Art, which was the best shop in Memphis by far. And it was just, I made it known that I was an apprentice, that I wasn't getting much out of it. I watched him. I asked a lot of questions. I actually ended up bringing machines up to him and saying, man, this thing doesn't run right. What can I do? And he showed me how to tune machines. And then whenever they had an opening pop up, I was the first person that they called. They're like, hey, why don't you bring some of your drawings in, not your tattoos? And let's see what you have. And they didn't even want to see my tattoos. They wanted to see my drawings. And I had already been through an apprenticeship, but and I brought drawings in. They told me what was weak about my drawings and where I needed to work, and then what I needed to work on. And then I basically ended up doing kind of a second apprenticeship there. But that opportunity would have never arisen if I hadn't gone and paid for his time and gotten tattooed and tried to ask smart questions, and show that I was eager to learn. So I completely agree with Gabe. Man, that's the best move that you could make.
I think that's a big one, is just showing the tattooer that you're eager to learn. Right. I haven't been tattooing long enough to even consider like apprenticeships, but I've been asked a couple times, just because it's a small town. I've been asked a couple times by a couple people getting out of tattoo school and stuff like that. And I try to give them good advice or point them in the right direction, but I always get the impression that I don't know, almost that like they're not really motivated to like learn how to be like a good artist. They just want to start tattooing and open up their own shop, and they're more eager to just start tattooing and don't really care about what the product is going to look like on their clients later. And I feel like if you do find that artist that you click with, that you feel like you can learn a lot from, something kind of similar happened with me. I went to tattoo school. I never had an apprenticeship. I'm self-taught, but there were people that guided me. There was one guy that I asked for an apprenticeship after I got out of school, but the timing and stuff for him and I just never worked out. But when I'd been doing art for so long before I got into tattooing, I could kind of sift through the bullshit a little bit, because you can always tell like when a tattooer is kind of full of it, Mm-hmm. And this guy, my wife ended up getting in with him. Like his books were closed. He didn't want to take on any clients or anything like that, but she pitched him an idea that he loved. So he took her on and got her in super quick and tattooed her 4 days in a row. And I was
4 days in a row. Good Lord.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my wife's a beast.
Wow.
Horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it was impressive. It was that guy I was telling you about, Michael Toth. So his name's Mike Toth. If anybody's in like the Tillamook, Oregon area. Yeah, he was going to be working with James Kern there for a little bit.
Yeah. He did a couple guest spots, I believe, I crossed paths with him a couple times. He's great.
Yeah. So I lived in Bend for like 5 or 6 years, and right before he moved away from Bend, that's when my wife Jamie got in and started getting tattooed by him. And of course, like I was like super eager, and like I saw this guy's work. I knew he was a legit artist, and like the whole time I was just there asking questions, and like thank God he didn't get like annoyed by me, but I think he could tell that I was serious and that I'd been doing art before and stuff like that. So he actually was a huge help for me when I first started getting into tattooing. Like he helped me buy my first machines. He told me what like common pitfalls to avoid, all that stuff. Him and a couple other people. So even though I didn't have a traditional like apprenticeship or anything like that, I still consider him somewhat of a mentor. He definitely guided me a lot.
Yeah.
And he kept me from like, you know, he was like, don't do anything over the size of your palm for the first couple of years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely like helped me avoid super common pitfalls when I first started. And anytime I did run into trouble, I could always call him or make a trip down to Tillamook and stuff and ask him some questions. And he was super, super chill about it. Thank goodness. Because I know that he could have just told me to kick rocks, you know, because I was just a super annoying kid asking tons of questions.
I drew this since we talked.
Yeah.
Little Celtic Sky.
Oh yeah.
But I'm trying to learn Procreate. My iPod's on that. But so I got all the pictures from like the brain size, and I've everything I've done, I've done on that rail skin after. And I just small.
Your drawings look really good, man. You've got a good head start on a lot of people.
What?
For sure. So I bet you if you go around to a couple of shops, man, and just show them that stuff and let them know you're serious, like, if an artist knows that you're serious and you're actually trying and you're drawing and stuff, you'd be surprised the reactions that you get. People are actually pretty eager to help people that are serious about it.
Yeah. That's always been my experience too. It's tattoo shops are scary, but usually if you're usually people are pretty helpful if they realize that you're that you're serious. And to Gabe's point, man, like that, just I would stick with those skins as much as possible, and because one day you're going to be like, shit, why did I tattoo all over myself?
Oh yeah, I've been trying to keep it small, and really I find only that real skin works for me, because I stretch it. That's why I figured I'd just do my size something small where I can stretch it and just see how it goes. Because I have like, envelopes, but absolutely you're right. I got a good guy in Chelsea, Mass that did the portrait of my son like 12 years ago. His name's Edgar, he's really good. Most of my friends go to him. He's in Bellingham Square, Calavantes.
Yeah,
but
man. Anyone that you find that you respect their work, it'd be awesome just to spend a little time and try to get tattooed by them in a visible spot where you can kind of watch and ask questions. That never goes away. I've been tattooing. This month is my 25th anniversary. I started in May of '96. So
congratulations!
Thanks. This is my 25th anniversary as a tattooer, and I still, when I get tattooed by someone, it's like a whole new world for me. I'm like, just watching from the way that they set things up to the way that they, lay things out. I mean, every bit of it. I can't see a lot of what Andy's doing on me right now, but every time we take a break, I go and I look and I'm watching his process and I'm learning how he like builds compositions, like how he makes changes on the fly, just how his mind's working. And he's been tattooing half as long as I have, right? Maybe not that, but a lot less time than I have. But I've learned a ton, just by watching this process. So there's nothing quite like getting tattooed by
someone badass. So Jake, it's 7 after or 9 after.
I'm doing my own workout today, so I have to be there right at 9:30. I've started incorporating like a squat cycle these last few weeks where I'm just doing back squat, just strength work, back squats and presses. So I don't have to, I'm not in the middle of the classes every day. So.
Yeah, cool. I did want to, it's 10 after, so I'm going to list off some of the upcoming events that are coming up. Sweet. And then I'm going to switch my phones if people want to keep going for a while. Yeah. But if you head on over to the Reinventing the Tattoo event schedule on your app, you're going to catch all of the upcoming events, and then we have a lot of good stuff coming up. So every Monday, that's today's Monday, at 9 o'clock at night, are Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo subscribers only exercises. It's like $300 a year. Not only do you get access to the full online course in Canon, it used to be the book and then the book and the videos. Now it's like full-on multimedia online course. But every Monday, you can get critiqued by Guy and then run through exercises. And it's amazing because he goes through the exercises with everybody. And it's fun every once in a while. He'll be like, "Oh shit, I haven't done this in fucking a long time." So like he's learning along with everybody else. It's amazing. Okay, so that's Mondays.
You can get 10% off of that with the code Fireside.
Yes, and I was going to say, reinventingthetattoo.com/fireside means that you'll get 10% off thanks to Jake and the Fireside Network. And Jake, when you chop these up, that might be you probably could put that code in the beginning of them. I
definitely will start doing that. I'm going to record a little intro that does just that.
Perfect. And so let's see. So that's every Monday at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 25th at 2 o'clock, we've got an interview with Guy Aitchison where we dive into. I'll probably do some Procreate with the fellas Jason and Ricardo out when they're landing there, and then maybe do some Q&A about all the updates. He's been doing a lot of updating to this online canon, so he's got a lot of that fresh in his mind. On Wednesday, we've got the Future of Tattoo Conventions with Alex Van Dutch, and I will be hosting a whole mess of tattoo convention promoters from around the world. I think we've got like Mexico, Europe, Asia. There's a whole mess of people that Alex invited out that are awesome. Kim from the Brussels Convention will be on there. Other special events, the Philosophy of Tattooing with Laura Sizer is happening June 1st at 2 p.m. That's not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. And it's been pretty awesome. We've got a whole bunch of academics that have come on, an archaeologist, a chemist, and now we have a philosopher. Laura actually got the official philosophy of tattooing into, I think it's in England or somewhere. I know we could ask her about it, but there actually is a philosophy of art that did not have a philosophy of tattooing, and she got it in there. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk about some of the upcoming events, and then I'm going to beam out and
super cool.
Come in.
Yeah, I'll probably check out here too and go ahead and get rolling. We will. That's super cool. I'd like to check out that the one on the Future of Tattoo Conventions and meet some of these or learn about some of these promoters and things, especially promoters in other countries. That's super cool.
Yeah, you guys have Wednesday.
You guys have such good ideas. Stuff to talk about.
We are just scratching the surface. I have schedules and schedules of ideas, and thank you to the sponsors for keeping coming on, because it helps us, and to the subscribers. The paying subscribers actually help make this happen too, of course. Sure. And we're, like I said, we're just still kind of getting it together here.
Yeah, well, sweet. Well, all right. Well, I'm going to check out too. Hopefully, not hopefully, I promise I'm doing a 3 Minutes to Better Tattooing this Wednesday. And I need to record some new episodes. So let's, maybe I'll get with some of you guys and let's record some podcasts. I don't have that many. I got so burnt out for a little while of staring at the stupid Zoom screen. I'm ready to talk to people in real life. I'm over this virtual tattoo podcasting.
So are you guys not doing any events like anytime soon or at all?
I don't have anything until whatever I go to with Gabe in the fall, which is
October 3 to the 6th, the BYOB.
Yeah, that's
man.
I mean,
you guys don't do no bike shows or anything like that?
I normally do shows every month or so.
Ricardo and I are working at a show in July.
Where is that?
Gettysburg.
I'll be there.
Field Tattoo Expo. We'll both be there, tattooing and hanging out. Maybe doing a little bit of podcasting. And Jake, if you're interested in actual contact, man, I'll drive down and visit.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to. Yeah, let's make it happen.
We have a. Oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to.
Go
ahead. We have a giant medical mobile center that we're using to go to like Sturgis, Lacona, Bike Fest, Oktoberfest, Daytona,
Wow.
We're doing the boogie. I think Laconia is only in a couple weeks. Boogie's coming up, so we're actually staying. You know, I know a lot of people are struggling with the downtime and everything. I think I'm cutting off my head. But you know, we're finding a way to kind of, you know, and this semi, man, is insane. Like, he just bought a second semi. He just pulled in, actually. Crazy. He's gonna pull us like a bunkhouse, you know, because we got 7-8 artists now.
Wow. Man,
so,
crazy. That sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm sorry, real quick, Jake, before you go, I'm just going to list off. I know you like to hear where people are beaming in from. We've got Kiss for Rio de Janeiro in Brazil from Arthur. Chris says hello there from Durango, Colorado. Fabian also says Italia, Brazil. I'm not sure if that's a town in Brazil. Nice. Salute from Jersey. We got somebody from Jersey, Jerzy, Jersey. Joseph says hi. Hefino says Brazil from Rio de Janeiro. We got a lot of Rio in the chat rooms. Let's see, we've got Slovenia. Possible to be a tattoo apprentice from Slovenia. That's Boss John. He beams in quite a bit. Lucas says good morning. And Rafael, hello from Brazil. Brazil that's on both YouTube and Facebooks. So.
That's awesome. Sweet. Yeah, like I used to like whenever we would go overseas or anything out here, I would talk to tattooers who were doing the tattoo at friends' shops overseas. And I was always like, man, that'd be so cool. I wish I knew people overseas. And now I kind of do. I feel like if I go to some of these places, I'll actually be able to like have contacts just because of this show. It's amazing how many people reach out from all over the place. Speaking of which, we haven't seen, I was thinking the other day, I am going to get off of here, but I was thinking the other day, Patrick from Ireland or wherever he was from, Scotland, or it hasn't been on a long time, and neither has what's her name from Scotland?
Morgan.
I think it's Morag.
It is Morag.
Yeah, I think she started the.
Yeah, they're all back to tattooing.
They opened back up again, so yeah, she's probably super busy. But I was hoping I'd see her on here again too.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They weren't tattooing. Yeah, for a while, some of the people that were on early on have kind of disappeared. But well, good.
Sure
they need to be tattooing.
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Well, yeah, Jason, touch base with me. Yeah, I'd love to do that. That'd be awesome. Do some real life podcasting. And I'll
people going to Colonia, they're doing stuff in Gettysburg.
We'll do.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week. I'll get some photos of my side that aren't too revealing, so you guys can see stuff that Andy's working on. He's so good. It's crazy.
I was hoping for the risque versions.
Yeah. So I'll DM you those.
Don't you have them up on your OnlyFans?
I do. Yeah. $20 a month.
Right.
Right. All right. Everybody have a good week. Thanks.
Cheers. Have fun,
Take care, bud.
Thanks. See you later.
Also, Jamokazu, somebody says, hello, sneaky one here, arrived late from Australia. So it's must be like 10 o'clock at night, still kind of early in the evening over in Australia. So thanks again for that.
Welcome.
We'll keep it going on for maybe another 20 minutes. Does that sound good with everybody? Or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. I'll be right back in 5 minutes.
I don't know if Jake still has it or not, but Akshay, he was talking about like the thumbnailing and stuff at Fireside. He made up these little sketches and stuff that you can use for thumbnailing, and that for flow and stuff, that's been crazy helpful for me. That's actually what I'm doing right now. I haven't started actually drawing out any specific like flowers or anything for this girl's sleeve. I've just been thumbnailing, and it's kind of doing a similar thing where it's going onto her chest and then onto her shoulder and then onto the lower part of her arm, which is a crazy part to try and design for. So normally what I do is especially for these floral ones, is I just stencil out the actual flowers, and then when I get there, I'll draw on her the leaves and little blossoms and stuff like that. But just so you're not like showing up completely like just, I don't know, like this will give you like a good foundation and stuff. But if you're worried about flow and stuff, like these thumbnails have been like super helpful for me. And at some point, Jake on Fireside, he was like selling these for like crazy affordable, like super cheap. So I don't know if they're still doing it or not, but you basically, there's like 6 thumbnails and you kind of just draw out shapes. You know, you can just draw out the shape of the shield and the shape of the helmet and just see like how it fits on there. And then you can kind of decide from there, like where you want to go with it. And the point is to just quickly draw out the shape of it, you know, maybe take 30 seconds per panel and then kind of narrow it down from there and be like, okay, I like that one, but I don't like the way that one sits. So we'll get rid of that idea. And then you just refine from there and kind of narrow it down to whichever thumbnail you like best. And that's been like a huge help for me. Especially with these bigger pieces, just because it's a huge time saver. You draw out shapes and just the flow of things beforehand, and that way you don't have to worry about detailing something completely out, and then your client shows up and you're like, oh man, that's not going to fit, you know? But yeah, I don't know if you thumbnail enough, but it's been crazy helpful for me.
Yeah, that's what I agree with that. Like, the more simple shapes you put together, the quicker your composition can come together.
For sure.
And then you can worry about detail after you get like the overall feel of the composition. And those simple shapes definitely help with that. Start broad and refine.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I was thinking like how more I can draw in illustrative style. Because sir, I mostly use pictures from internet and then I compose that image now. So right now I'm thinking like I should do more thumbnails also, but like how more I can enhance the figure drawing of that character actually. Like how more I can put like more shadows on the face, like how to like make it look like little bit illustrative and little bit realistic also. Like what should I do for that also?
Yeah.
Line work, 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 and more lines. And then after that, do more lines and do buried lines.
Crazy.
Okay, that's my philosophy at least. If you do a search on YouTube for Jeff Gogwe on his fundamentals video, he talks about that and how he tries to focus on outlines and just line work alone, and how if your line work will hold up as a composition alone, then everything that you do on top of that or in conjunction with that is just going to make it look better, right? One of the key things that you see in every illustrative piece out there is their selective use of line and line weight variance.
Line weight.
So in line weight variance, you're not just using one specific line weight. You're going to have big, bold lines next to super thin, tiny lines, and you're going to have a major contrast in your line weight there. You're going to have areas of no line. You're going to have areas of hard edge. You know, when you combine all of that in together, that's where you really produce that kind of illustrative style. Think of comic books, right? In comic books, you're going to see tiny little lines right next to super huge bold lines to show contour, to show edge. Even if it's not a super hard edge, by throwing in a tiny little super thin fine line can really make a difference. There's actually a book, if you do a Google search, it's called The Comic Book Guide to Inking. And I think I actually have it on my desktop. I can show you what I do. The Art of Comic Book Inking by Gary Martin. We'll go through, and when you look at that, this is a guy that was a professional comic book artist for many years, who has his use of like inking and using line down like to a science, where he can show light and value just by using line, right? And he'll go over different methods of hatching and cross hatching to create value, where to put your darks, where to put your lights, how your line weight variance with your light areas is going to be very different than where your line weight variance is with your darker areas, and how smaller lines can be used as accent and visual flow for more illustrative styles without ever putting any shading or value in it, right? And it can really make the difference between something that's illustrative, something that's more realism, and then something that's more traditional, right? In traditional work, you see a lot of very standardized line weight, where it's just one line weight throughout the whole piece, mostly because they only had the ability to set up one liner needle on one machine. So they didn't have the chance to change anything out or really get that. So you see standardized line weight around the whole thing. Obviously, on the opposite end of the spectrum with realism, you don't really use a whole lot of line. You use more hard edge, right? Very dark, crisp, sharp edges. The in-between of that is that illustrative style. And that's where you see a lot of line weight variance, which is key and integral into a lot of very different types of illustrative tattoo. So that's my look. Great. Focus on lines, dude. If you can make it look good as a line drawing alone, that's 60% of the tattoo right there.
Sir, do I also need to study references like traditional tattoo style references, or like new school style references to do more illustrative kind of work?
Okay, so I mean, to me, new school and illustrative is kind of like, or neo-traditional and illustrative. It's all the same thing. It's all in, to me, what really separates out those styles is the use of line. When you look at illustrative tattooers like Russ Abbott, for example, very selective use of line and line weight contrast, but he still has lines all over the place. When you look at guys like, oh man, there's so many of them. Look at Mike Chambers, right? Super traditional. One standardized line weight throughout the whole piece. And then you turn around and you look at guys like Mike DeVries, who might not use any lines, right? It's not, when you start to really look at where they put their lines and their perimeter lines and where they want their emphasis to be. For example, if they have something way in the foreground that they want you to pay attention to, they're going to put a big bold line around it. If it's something that they don't really want to emphasize as much, that line's going to be a lot smaller. If it's just in there just to hold the form, it's going to be super thin, but it'll still be there.
Yes, sir.
So having all of those in one piece, using up to 3 or 4 different line weights in a piece, that's going to give you a very illustrative style, but it's going to allow you to create the effect of value, detail, and form without really having to do any shading or coloring or anything of that nature.
Okay.
Does that make sense? If it doesn't, sir, you can tell me, and that's totally fine. Sometimes what I say doesn't even make sense to me.
No, sir. It was all crazy. It was really informative for me. But sir, in the last lines you just said to create volumes and from lines only. I got a little confused over there. Like how to create volume from those lines? How will it show?
How will it show if you use a very thin line or a very big line? I mean, the line will be in there, and that's what matters. A lot of times I'll put in very tiny little accent lines just to hold the form. Because having that black edge right there, right next to, say, a brighter color, is really going to help define that shape. So whether or not that line stays perfectly crisp over time, it's not really going to matter too much because I'm defining that shape using that black line. For bigger lines, they're going to hold pretty well. Think of it as just another shape in the design, right? So if you're using a big, huge, bold line to define the perimeter of an object, and that line is a 1/4 inch thick, it becomes a shape. And it just becomes a very dark shape on the border and the perimeter of these other shapes. And then how you can create, you can take that and move that shape around the perimeter of it to kind of, for lack of a better term, just kind of like block off an edge, but creating this nice flowing dark shape will really move your eye around, especially if it's way darker in contrast than everything else around it.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, once again, that's my 2 cents on it. It's just some things I've picked up along the road. Anyone else that's in here, I'm more than happy to hear different perspectives on it. I'm always down to learn and see different ways of looking at things. But yeah, big bold perimeter lines around objects. Especially if you're trying to get like combining the two, like realism and illustrative. Try just having a bold perimeter line around, whatever it is you're tattooing, and then no line or very, 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 very thin lines on the inside.
Okay,
and
sir.
then that's going to create another type of illustrative style.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will work on this.
Yeah. What was that, Ricardo?
Just try not to shade over the line work with too dark of a muted tone or too dark. Like, don't use too much black, right? So the ones to cover them up. You want the line work to show if you want it to be illustrative. So basically, like the line work for a tattoo, if it's illustrative, the image should look like almost finished, even without any shading code.
Yeah.
Somebody you might want to look at as far as art goes is like one of the older guys is Alphonse Mucha.
Yes.
Look at some Alphonse Mucha for illustrative kind of guide. That guy, if he was a tattoo artist, he would have been a perfect tattoo artist because his illustrations are flawless. They're perfect. The composition, the line work, the line weight. And what Jason's talking about, sometimes line weight will help establish like some foreground and stuff like that too.
Dave Tevenow is another great example of an illustrative artist. He also has a background in comic books and used to work for, I think, Marvel at one point.
Who was that, Jason? I didn't hear who you
Dave
said.
Tevenow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
He's, in fact, we can pull up his, I'll pull up his Instagram real quick. He's someone that I've gotten to know. I've gotten tattooed by him a whole bunch of times. And this guy he's one of the fastest tattooers I've ever met. And that is, he's only second to how fast he is at drawing and painting. This dude is lightning quick.
So it's Tevenow, Tevenal, right?
Correct.
All right,
Dave
cool.
Tattoos on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
So, can you repeat the name?
It's David Tevenow.
David.
Dave. It's Tevenal. Oh, there you go. You got him up right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very illustrative.
Illustrative for sure.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, he's got great color too. That was something that I had to. I mean, like I said, when I first started, I was doing color and stuff, and color theory is another thing, man, and all in itself. Like when you see tattoos like this from this guy, he makes it look just so effortless, But there's a lot of thought and stuff that goes into putting those colors in there. Everybody always thinks if you just blast something with bright colors, it'll look that colorful, but that's not the case. This is really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So he's pretty fast, huh?
Incredibly fast.
I hate fast.
I think the longest I've ever seen him work on one individual thing is like 4 hours.
That's awesome, man.
Start to finish. Like it's insane. He tattooed my left side in Washington, D.C. at a show one day. And I mean, it was 5 hours worth of like time that he was actually tattooing me.
Mm-hmm.
I was being a little bit whiny at the time. So I think I had the session for like 6 hours because I needed a few breaks. But I mean, the outline was done in 45 minutes. And
this is your whole side?
Yeah, it's not quite sure how well you can see it, but take this down a little bit.
Oh, ouch, dude. Yeah, no wonder you were whining a little bit.
Yeah, a tiny bit. Yeah, he took 30 minutes to draw it on and then blasted out the outline and all the black and gray shading in like an hour and a half tops.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then he started layering in color, and I started to cry a little bit. Curled up into the fetal position at a couple of different points. It was not super fun, but it was worth it. It ended up taking first place first place tattoo of the day that day.
Awesome.
It was an experience. But I mean, cool. Watching him paint, that's like a totally different level of a religious experience, because you'll see him sit down with a big piece of 13 by 19 paper or 11 by 17, Bristol board, and he'll just break out some paint markers and he'll just start going to town, just all over the place. And you're like, what is this guy drawing? And then he'll start laying in all of his colors and laying in this and next thing you know, you're like, oh, I see where he's going with that. And then he'll do all of his black lines last, and it's like, there you go.
But yeah, that's another thing that I had to learn when I was, because I would do these color pencil pieces, and I would use a little Sharpie pen and stuff to build up lines, essentially to change up my line weights and stuff. And when I would go over them with the Prismacolors, that would always knock them back quite a bit, and then I would have to reline things again. And that's something that, like, when you're tattooing and stuff, can be super, super helpful if you can. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for anybody who's just starting, but if you're experienced and stuff, laying in those darks like last, if you can get away with doing it without staining your stuff, really makes a big difference. It makes all those bright colors seem that much more bright. But yeah, put in the black last. That's smart. But I think that's probably something you have to do with markers, right? Because you don't want it to smear, I would imagine.
It is. Yeah. And I mean, he's got his techniques down literally to a science by now. I watched him use. So I own a few of his original paintings. A couple of them were commissioned, and I just like hit him up, and I'm like, hey man, are you down for like a commission piece or whatever? And he's like, yeah, man, totally cool. Like, what do you want? And, he painted them for me, and I got to watch him work on the one. And like, he would use combo markers for like his black and gray, but he's like, if you're going to use these, make sure that they're super, super dry, because they are water-based and they're not alcohol-based, like a lot of the Prisma markers and the Copic markers that he uses. Mm-hmm. Although I think he switched brands, but it's all the same alcohol-based stuff. And then he's like, now watch this. And he took one of the Pentel Gray Wash brush pens, and he started, I remember watching him lay in these drop shadows that looked pitch black at first. And then as they dried into this super medium, like flat gray. And I was like, wait, what just happened here? How did this work? What magic did you use to do that?
He's a wizard.
But it turns out it's just a medium gray wash brush pen. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I've never used anything like that before, so that's so foreign to me. And I mean, getting that skilled with them to where like how the values are going to lay and stuff, and being able to just lay it in there like that and knowing what's going to happen. I mean, that takes a lot of experience and confidence, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. A lot of experience and a lot of just sitting down saying, okay, let's see what happens. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And being able to roll with those punches. And a lot of what he does on paper comes from a lot of his experience, just using them day in and day out and day in and day out and seeing, okay, well, this is what we're going to do here. And okay, well, maybe that was a little too dark, so now we're going to go through and adjust this.
Yeah. But for Akshay, man, that's what I would do. If I think like a good rule of thumb, like when you're trying to go illustrative, is just define like your hierarchy and decide like what you want to be like the star of your design. And like Jason was saying, put a nice bold outline around that, and then just kind of go from there. I always used to just put a nice thick outline around stuff that was in the foreground, And then stuff that was in the background, I wouldn't put an outline around at all. But you can, you don't necessarily have to use that hierarchy or not, but you should, if you just want to decide what's going to be the star of your design, whether it be like the helmet or the shield or whichever, put a nice bold outline around that, and then just put thinner outlines around the things that you're not necessarily wanting to have as much focus. And then find artists like this, where it's like you like their style, and just kind of use them for reference, to see like just examine their work and see what you like about them and how they solve certain problems and things like that. I think that's when I first started, that's what helped me out a lot. I just found artists that I liked and looked at a lot of their work, and it influences you. So
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there's tons of artists like this. I think he got mentioned before. Rich Wren. Rich Wren's a guy that I love the way he uses lines. He will get really, really thin with his lines in some spots. I think Jake was talking about some of the rope that he was designing, and what he'll do with his rope is he'll put like a thicker outline around the outside, and on the inside he'll put, like you can see right there, on the inside he puts these really, really thin lines to show the texture in there. I really love the way he goes about using line work. His color palette's amazing.
And this kind of thin lines stay for long, do you think? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't think he would be doing them if they didn't. But I think you gotta. I mean, it's one of those things where it just kind of comes with experience. If you're in an area where you can, it's super helpful to be able to see your work when it comes back, because then you can tell, whether or not that thin line that you put in there held, but this guy, I mean, he's been tattooing for a while, and I'm sure he wouldn't be putting those in there if they weren't going to stay.
Yeah, my guess is that the tattoos look better in real life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and you can tell too, like where he's putting his thin lines and stuff. Like these are like really light lime green colors and stuff, and then you can't really see them where it starts to get darker and stuff. So that's another thing to keep in mind, contrast, value, stuff like that. That's all going to support your piece quite a bit. But he's probably one of my favorites when it comes to line work stuff. But if you find people like this, man, I'd just find people that you like, and just look at their work and let them influence you. I don't advise copying off of anybody or anything like that, but it's good. It's definitely good to take other artists' work in, especially if it's something that you're kind of going for.
Hey Jason, can you go back up and click on the line to the right there? Oop, down to the right. That's the in progress. Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and that's another thing I like about. He puts his stencils out. He just draws so much. He makes me feel like I don't draw enough. But yeah,
I've actually had the pleasure of like going and hanging out with him because he lives he works about 15 minutes away from where I live, if that. And
that's so cool, man.
We used to get together and do some painting and drawing days, and watching this guy work and the speed at which he works, from drawing nonstop, day in and day out, day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
In his kind of style. I mean, he'll sit down and he'll bust out an 11 by 14 full color painting in 2 hours. And won't think twice about it. If he doesn't like it, he doesn't like it, and he sets it aside and he does another one. And if he doesn't like that one, he sets it aside and he does another one. But he's that fast where, this probably took him maybe an hour and a half to draw.
Yeah, and that's probably, I mean, the more you do it, the faster you're going to get to. So I suppose if you want to get to that level, I mean, you gotta start somewhere. But it's, you put the work in and you'll be that fast and that skilled. But he's definitely when it comes to, I think I heard about him because he got interviewed by Fireside or something like that. So there is an interview with him with Jake Meeks on Fireside. I don't know if he talks too much about like technique or anything like that, but he talks about like drawings and stuff like that. And I think the way that he put it, he's overwhelming the flash book or something like that with drawings and stuff when you go to tattoo conventions. But that's probably your best bet, Akshay. Just draw, man, until it starts looking the way you want it to.
Do we also need to study perspective, sir? Like, if you see in this drawing, like we can like there's another angle from bottom, like we can see, but the face is looking from like a normal angle. But still, this little bit elements on the right and left side are from bottom angle. So, like in designs, we also need to put some perspective to study this.
No, well, perspective should be everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perspective and foreshortening are standard key elements of every artistic piece. If you have this that you're looking at from the top down, and then this one's coming from the bottom up, but you don't have the right perspective in anything else, then it confuses the eye and it doesn't make sense. With this, you see a very bottom up look to everything there. You're seeing the bottom of this, you're seeing the bottom of these chrysanthemum petals all over the place, except for when they twist and go back behind. You're looking at the face from a bottom up perspective, so everything is in agreement as far as like your perspective goes. But as long as you have that down and it's consistent throughout the piece, you're fine.
Yeah, consistency is a big one when it comes to perspective.
Okay, consistency.
Yeah, same thing with lighting too. When people just Photoshop some shit together and fucking tattoo it, it's like, whoa, what the?
Yeah,
the lighting's got to be right.
Yeah, it gets the job done, but yeah, it could look so much stronger if you have a consistent light source throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, and I would propose it doesn't necessarily. Well, depending on the end results. Right. Like I said, I've just seen so many people take like a rose and a wash or whatever, and it's just like, okay, now again, you may have done a tattoo of a rose and a wash, but like the shit's got to be consistent for the yeah.
Yeah, another guy I really like to look at for their use of line is, and I probably bring them up all the time. This guy, Chris Dunn from Deadly Tattoos up in Canada.
I don't think
he's another perfect example of varied line weights and perspective. So you can see the very thin lines over here on some of the hair. He's got a lot of areas of no line, but very hard edge. And then you can see a nice bold perimeter line going around most of the piece. Mm-hmm. He also likes to incorporate something that I call the negative line, which is this like halo effect that goes around the whole piece to allow his foreground aspects to stand out even more, right? By incorporating that use of negative line with positive line, you're going to create a more dynamic contrast.
And I haven't seen this guy before. This stuff is really cool. He's dang Canadian artist, man.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm waiting until the Canadian border opens up so I can go and get tattooed by him.
Hell yeah.
Who's want to fire up Kaya Heitland? She's another
yeah, she's great.
Line weighty. And there's another
I mean you can see
Christina Christie.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
But you can see there's tons of like lots of really thin lines in a lot of these artists' work, and I mean they hold, so I don't think they'd be doing them if they didn't. You just got to do them the right way. Like having your clients come back after you tattoo them, like even seeing it like a couple months to like a few years later, that's been super, super helpful for me. Most of the tattooing I've done, I tattooed a little bit outside of Klamath Falls, but most of the tattooing I've done has been here, and it's a relatively small town, so I got to see a lot of my work come back, and that's been incredibly helpful. So I don't know if you're in an area where you can have your clients come back and stuff, but if you can't, maybe see if you can get them to send you a picture or something like that, just to see if what you're doing is working or not. Because you'd be surprised, even if it's a few years later, how much you actually remember from the actual tattooing procedure and be like, oh man, that line that I put in there just didn't stay at all, or the way that I saturated that color just didn't work out, you know? So funny, actually, I did. So in Oregon, you have to do 50 tattoos to be able to take the state test. And when I went up to Eugene, I ran into a guy that was one of the 50 tattoos that I had. And he was a friend of mine. And I did this super simple, like just the symbol on the black symbol on the back of his calf. And when I did it, it looked solid, you know, super solid black. It looked real good. And then when he showed it to me yesterday, you know, the black in there was just super patchy. Of course, there's things that you have to take into consideration, like you don't know how they took care of it, or, you know, if any issues that they had while they were healing, made any ink fall out or anything like that. But it's definitely super helpful to see that stuff when it comes back, just to answer those questions that you have maybe about the line weights and the stuff, and, you know, maybe even color contrast. It's been super helpful for me with like contrast and stuff like that, especially on pieces where you're trying to get something to look more realistic. More often than not, you have to go back through and bump back through your darks and your lights and stuff. But that really helps with figuring out like contrast and stuff. So if you're able to get some healed pictures, usually like a year or so down the road, that's been super helpful for me.
You know, one of the things to do is obviously everyone's keeping track of all of their clients' email addresses, and you know, offering you know, a gift certificate, or, you know, some sort of, or limited edition print, or some sort of incentive for people to either come in person or to send those photos, you know, is definitely, you know, it would be best to always trying to get healed photos into your process. You know, some tattooers aren't even, you know, they're not done with a client or with the tattoo until they have a healed photo of it.
Yeah. It's always nice when you see artists who post healed work too. I mean, I don't, when I get an opportunity to, I post healed work, but it's not very often, but some artists make a habit of it, and it looks,
but I still use
awesome.
some apps.
There's one girl, I can't remember. I think she's a Canadian artist as well. Her name is Shay Motts. She uses a lot of line work too with hers. And she posts, yeah. ShaeMotz. It's under Shay Motts Tattoos on Instagram. And it's kind of relevant to the line work thing, but she also, I've seen a couple where she's posted pictures of her healed work. And it's always nice to see that, you know, these pieces look just as bright or almost even, you know, better when they're healed. So that's pretty cool that she does that. I should probably get in the habit of doing that too.
Wow.
Oh, and she rides too. Casey was on here earlier, but yeah.
We, for our tattoo shop, we used to have like documentation parties where we'd have all the client, you know, a client appreciation party a couple times a year is just a good thing to happen anyways. You know, you make sure that, you know, you bring out the cameras and whatnot, and you can, you know, with video cameras now to get video testimonials from people, you know, that I would just work that into, you know, when people are wondering about marketing and what they're doing, it's like, well, how many times are you appreciating your clients? Like, they're the people that recommend you to their friends and family every day. So
great for marketing. Yeah, word of mouth is like still the main way that tattooers get their business.
Number one.
Yeah, and I would also propose that, like, when that is working, you know, my shop's been closed 3 years, and I'm getting calls every day, like multiple ones, you know, multiple emails. So search engines are definitely, you know, they deliver for a very long time. But yeah, you know, if it's always when people are coming back with their friends and family is, you know, that's the starting ingredient and always the main driver of any clientele, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Nice call.
Good one.
Shay Motts.
This is like another version of Who Don't You Know?
Oh.
Gabe's favorite game.
Yeah, that the first time I played that, I was totally drawing a blank. I couldn't even think of anybody. And it's like I have tons of like painters and people in my Instagram is like totally drawing a blank. So I'm glad that you guys had ideas.
My favorite story on that was I think Ricardo, you brought up Philip Blue. You're like, I would bring up Philip Blue, but everyone knows him, and I think Kiri was like, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
That was perfect. But cool. We are just about bumping up against 11 o'clock. So maybe if people want to just close up real quickly, let us know where you're at, how people can check out your artwork. And maybe we'll go around. Instead of doing anarchist style, I will start. Edward, you want to let people know where to find your artwork on Instagram? You do have to unmute yourself, though, because it was wicked loud back there. Sorry about that.
Edward Reese Isberg. Actually, no, but I'm on that, honestly.
Let's see. So Kyle says solid gold, or solid. Just while you're looking it up, I'll read off some of the comments we got. Kyle says solid gold advice. Jerry P says Dave opened up an art store this year. He's a mixed media master. Let's see. I got one here. Kyle also says he received the sample box. Got raw green and orange cream pigments. Very cool, and thank you. Thank you, Kyle. You got your info pulled up there, Edward, or are we going to catch up with you next time?
No, yeah, just catch up with me next time. I mean,
cool. You got to figure out a way to easily let people see your portfolio. Otherwise, that's apprentice art number 1. Make it easy for us. But cool. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch up again. I don't remember the pronunciation. Akshay?
Akshay.
Okay. Let us know how to find you, where you're at, and.
Yes, sir. My Instagram handle is akshay.tattoos, and I'm from India, and I mostly do black and gray realism. So best way to reach me out is through my Instagram. You can reach me out through my Instagram and DM me for an appointment. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Jason and Ricardo.
Hey. So my name is Jason Leeser. I usually lead the Sunday afternoon drawing sessions. I'm here with Ricardo Sertivant. If anyone ever has any questions for me, you can find me at Philly Inc. on Instagram. You can find me at Camber Tattoo on Instagram. I'm in Normal, Illinois. Just hit us up. Yeah.
Awesome. And Ricardo, there was somebody who was asking for your critique on the skull they did yesterday. Everybody was very complimentary of it, but he's looking for a critique. So next time you bounce in there, you'll catch up.
No
awesome.
Problem.
It was really awesome that you led that. That was great. I don't remember. I was just flipping through it. It was like yesterday. It was like 12 hours. I mean, obviously everyone's busy, but I just wanted to make sure that you caught it.
Okay.
And the replay is available. The what was it, contrast? And you guys did it in charcoal? What was the?
Yeah, we're doing charcoal, and it was just like trying to figure out how to grow stronger in our drawings, utilizing simple shapes like we were talking about earlier. Simple shapes, just breaking it down to simple circles, simple triangles, simple squares, trying to find those in every image that we look at.
Awesome. And okay, Jessica.
My name is Jessica Wright. I am in Southern Oregon. You can find me on Instagram at JWright Tattoo. And the best way to reach me is DMs through Facebook or Instagram. I have an email as well. It's Jessica Wright Tattoo. Yes, at gmail.com. Sorry.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for beaming in and for watching. If you go to reinventingthetattoo.com/goodie bag entry, and you are a tattooer, then you can get entered in to win a goodie bag that's got Cheyenne cartridges and some raw pigment samples. Definitely check out the mobile app. It's pretty awesome, and it has all of the events that are coming up here. This is the app here. If you go to either of the app stores and click on events, then you'll see the full schedule of all of the live events. And if you go to the library here, boom, then it has all of the replays here. If you click on videos, then you'll see we have all of the in-house reinventing podcasts, the Spring Equinox, that's what's been playing in the background there before it shut down. We've got the Tattoo Collecting Podcast, the Reinventing Drawing Group replays, the Art Jams, Let's Talk Tattoo History, Drunk Critique Live in the Castro. It's got a ton of replays. So please check it out, download it. Kind words go to all of the review places because even though Reinventing is over, I think it's like 30 years old, always evolving, but it's been around for, it's a staple, it's an institution, inspiring, thousands and thousands of tattooers. It's awesome. Thank you very much, Guy, for making this happen. But yeah, kind words go to the review places for all these new channels, YouTube, podcast, app stores. And then we'd love to hear your ideas and constructive criticisms, or if you're interested in sponsoring the show or hosting a Reinventing event, management at reinventingthetattoo.com. Okay, thanks again, everybody.